Welcome to the final episode of Selling with Love. Don't worry, I don't need to be that dramatic about what's about to happen, but I did want to make sure that this was a moment that I acknowledge that we are about to make a shift. We're about to change the core types of contents that we're featuring on the podcast. Nothing too divergent from what is right now. Matter of fact, if you've been listening for a lot of the recent episodes, you might have noticed we've been veering away from just hardcore sales content, just focusing on sales exclusively. And I've always had this itch to go and explore some topics that I'm most curious about that are going a bit beyond sales. Now, Selling with Love is obviously the title of the book that I wrote, in its core methodology that I bring forward in the ways that operations of business should be. Because I do think sales happens in every department, whether that's HR and retaining or recruiting employees, within project managers, making sure everybody understands the value of keeping things on time and well documented, to leadership and all capacities, whether you're leading the entire organization or a small department within it. There's a sales component that is in every aspect of doing business, and bringing the values of selling with love is always what I've advocated for. But it hasn't been as clear for so many people that might be curious about the topics we cover with the incredible guests here, about how more expanded than sales is what the content is really all about. I've actually had a lot of people saying, I don't need to focus on learning sales. And the topics I'm even considering covering recently has been more about scaling businesses, understanding how to set up the right processes, what technologies are going out. And sometimes I've even had some episodes on AI. And I wanted to actually make this podcast more about the way that I interview and the topics that I bring forward, which are related to business, which is why starting next week, you're going to see a change of brand, and the fact that this is actually going to be named the Jason Marc Campbell Podcast, business podcast for that matter, because I want to be able to expand on these topics and making sure that for those of you who resonate with the way that I ask questions, the guests that I bring on, that you have a clear understanding that as I grow and get curious about topics, that you're going to get to see if this serves you beyond just the sales. We're over 550 episodes, and we've been running this for about 6 years now, and it's been an incredible journey. And for those who are here from the beginning, you might even remember the fact that this was a Mindvalley podcast that was called Superhumans at Work. If you're one of the originals on Superhumans at Work, I'd love to hear from you and the evolution you've seen of the podcast as we went into Selling with Love during the launch of the book, and now that we are going beyond just the Jason Marc Campbell podcast. I would just love to hear some of the topics you've been most excited about seeing come onto the show and the guests you'd love to see. And I'd love to hear from a lot of the listeners. So jason@jasonmarccampbell.com is my email, and I would love to get a chance to have a conversation around types of contents you would like to see as well. Things you might be expecting to see in the upcoming episodes. Well, starting next week, you will be listening from Ken Honda, where we go into some broader business topics. We have some incredible founders between personal growth businesses. So we have the founder of, for those of you who might be familiar with the Shift Network, he's coming on and speaking about his journey into building the organization himself. And so you're going to see a lot more topics leaning into leadership, management, scaling businesses, sales, marketing, and I'll be listening to your feedback to see some of the more interesting topics we want to bring forward as well. I want to bring in themes. I want to cover specific industries. I'm someone who takes, joy out of being someone who enjoys video games. And I do find it fascinating how video game industry operates. Matter of fact, video game industry have some of the biggest budgets in the world, sometimes bigger than movies. And I want to understand, how are they at the cutting edge of how to operate, how to sell, how to market? Can we dive into specific different industries or different players within an industry and get perspective and go into a bit more focused content that way? So you will see this evolution happen. I hope you're going to be joining along the ride. And of course, we're going to be imbuing some selling with love across every single piece of content. And for those of you who are listening, again, from the originals to the new, I appreciate you. Please leave a comment about some of the things you'd like to see from the content. And I hope you're going to be sticking around in this new branding. And I look forward to continuing having these conversations with these incredible guests and getting a chance to share it with you. Big thanks, and look out for next week's episode with Ken Honda as I introduce you for the first time to the Jason Marc Campbell Podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the Selling with Love podcast. We have some previous episodes you can tune into right here. And if you prefer the short form content where you get to the point in under 10 minutes, we do have a ton of clips from our best episodes that are being shared on this channel as well. So pick which one supports you the most. And of course, thank you for liking, subscribing, and of course, selling with love.